Here we go. Today we're going to talk about a core value here that we have, one of our 7 here at TLC.
Give every challenge everything you've got. You want challenges. You eat challenge for breakfast.
This is huge, man. At the very least, take accountability with yourself. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I could have did better.
It should be a natural hunger in you.
This is my jam right here, man.
We don't just do what's easy, we do what's right. The easy road may be smooth, but it rarely leads anywhere worth going. Doing what is right, often like walking through a forest, uncertain, winding, and slow, but that's where the real discoveries lie. The easy path may avoid the thorns, but it also misses the view. So,
brother.
This is pretty deep as
doing it can be as deep as you want it to be.
Yes.
You know, because some people, I think it's the perception that everyone has when they read a message like this or even hear us talking about it, right? But yeah, the easy road may be smooth. Okay, so that got my attention right away because we all want a smooth, easy road, right?
Yeah, you want to do a lot of times you're looking for the fastest, easiest
Do
way
we
to do
really
something.
want it though? Right? And I think to me, not to cut you off, we can go back and forth on this one. To me, I think this is the most valuable lesson that I had to learn in my life is that we all want the easy road. And we want it to be smooth. And we're even okay with it not being smooth. Like we all get this part, like, hey, I'm going to work hard for a little while. I'm going to sacrifice for a little while. It's going to be a little uncomfortable for a little while. But on the back end of this, oh my God, we'll be able to just chill. We'll be able to just relax and enjoy the fruits of our labor. And man, it took me a really, really long time to understand that instead of wanting the easy road, you're better off wanting it to be a little rough, a little bit challenging, a little bit uncomfortable, because the smooth road rarely leads anywhere worth going. And that's true. Like when the road is too smooth, when things are too easy, when things are too comfortable, man, your health, your mental health, your physical health, your bank account, your relationships, man, all these things, when you're not working at them, they fall apart. You know?
True.
And so sometimes you're better being in an environment where you're almost forced to work on them, right? And I think like, you know, as you look at life, whether it's a relationship that's falling apart, a health diagnosis that really kind of like gets your attention, a business is failing, you know, when things are failing, when things are when you become aware that things are, you know, possibly ending, all of a sudden we have this superhuman power, right? Like we can fix our relationships, we can really focus in and zone in on our health. Because now all of a sudden we know that like things are going to get really, really hard, right? Like really, really bad. And so when you really now think about that, and then you reflect and you're like, oh my gosh, if I would have just lived a life of slightly bumpy road instead of totally smooth road, then I wouldn't have this cratered filled road that I'm facing now, right? Like this destruction, this like, you know, like, I guess when you understand that, you're like, okay, you know what? All right, man. Like, hey, I'm going to do everything in moderation. I'm going to chill once in a while, but, you know, I'm okay with a harder life. I'm okay with a little bit of challenges. I'm okay with a little bit of uncomfortableness because, you know, like it says here, that easy road may be smooth, but it rarely leads to anything worth going or anywhere worth going. And by the way, you really only learn that by experience. You can sit here and listen to us talk about it, listen to one of your mentors or one of your elders in your life talk about it. But at the end of the day, man, everybody wants to figure it out for themselves. And they're like, hey, let me figure that out myself, Brandon. Let me chill. Let me take the smooth road and see how that goes. Okay. Maybe I'll be the 1% that it doesn't affect in a negative way. And unfortunately, we find out too many times that, you know, that percentage of people that don't thrive in a smooth road environment is high for a reason.
Yeah, and I think that goes right into how I wanted to take this. The smooth road is normally the one that's most traveled too, and which means a lot of people have taken that same path. And if you're not one of the first ones to blaze a new path, sometimes you're just kind of following suit and just falling in line and doing what you see done in front of you. And that's not always what's right or what's easy. You're just doing what the person in front of you. Now, if you take this other path that's rough, you're going to be the one that's blazing that trail. You're going to be the one that's figuring out the best way to do things. And sometimes that's the right way to go. Is you might have to work a little harder, but that's not it. Working harder is not easy, but it's also going to be showing you what is the right way to do things. Because I thought of this as soon as read this, it took me to, if you were an entrepreneur and you wanted to come up with a new idea. You're not going to keep following the same person that had ended up failing, because we don't need $1,000 generals, even though we got them. But
yes. You know, I'm telling you, again, it's perception of when you read something or hear someone talk about something, and you can kind of go left or right depending on where your thought process is. So let me steer everybody in one direction here that I think is important to me. Okay. It says here, doing what's right is often like walking through a forest. It's uncertain, it's winding, and it's slow, right? Like you can't just run through a forest, right? You got to navigate all the trees, and there's these trails and stuff, right? But that's where the real discoveries lie, right? It says here, you know, the easy path may avoid the thorns, but it also misses the view. And I think we all understand that. But I want to go back a little bit here and say that's where the real discoveries lie, and talk about the bumpy road, the uncomfortable road that we're choosing, right? When you choose that, you start to discover things about yourself that you didn't know.
yeah,
right?
you learn a
didn't
lot
know
going
you could
through the
run
rough.
10 miles. You didn't know that you could be the spiritual leader of your family. You didn't know that you could open up a business and operate a business, or speak in front of a crowd and become a public speaker, or even just a public presenter. You know, like that's where discoveries lie. But if you keep on traveling on the smooth road, what you're going to discover about yourself is you like the smooth road. And that's most of us, right? We want it easy. We want it comfortable. So we've got to fight that human urge, that human instinct to gravitate towards easiness, right? I think it's the great Les Brown that always said, if your life is hard now, it'll be easy later. If your life is easy now, it'll be hard later.
Yes, very true.
Right. And so like that, by the way, that is a really, really hard one to grasp. And like, well, why can't it be different? This is life, guys. Like we've been around for, you know, documented 6,000 years. I think most likely more than that. But the point there is like what we've learned through life is just that. We are designed to face challenges, overcome challenges, get stronger, get better, get more experienced, get more wise, and become better and better and better, but only if those challenges come our way. So embrace the challenges. I'm not saying you have to like it, and I am absolutely guilty of not feeling like it. I'm definitely many times in my life, I didn't feel like saying I was sorry. I didn't feel like lifting the weights. I didn't feel like getting up at 5 a.m, right? Like, and I think sometimes we get fixated into this, well, I mean, I'm just not feeling it right now. Or, you know, like sometimes you can't wait until you feel like it to do it. You have to do it until you feel like it.
Yes.
Right. And so some of you understand me, and some of you are like, what? Like, listen, you don't feel like doing it? Good. Go do it. And just keep on doing it until you feel like it. Because the reality is this: most high performers, most high achievers, most people that have overcome some stuff, they didn't feel like it either. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like they don't feel like it. And I think sometimes we're like, man, I wish I was like that person. Man, they're so disciplined, and they got, you know, such a great mindset. And man, they had to develop that over the years,
Yeah.
and they still struggle.
It's a
Trust
lot.
me.
They went through a lot of trial and error to be able to build up the fortitude to be like, oh, we just got to keep our head down, keep going, blaze a new trail.
100%, man. And even like this last thing here, as we close this up, you know, the easy path may avoid the thorns, but it also misses the view. Listen, man, like I've met some really great people because I did some uncomfortable things. I got in rooms with people that were a lot smarter than me, a lot more successful than me in certain aspects of life. And man, like to me, I would have missed that view. I would have missed that connection. I would have not been able to meet those people, be inspired by them, become friends with them if I wasn't willing to be uncomfortable. And I think it's really, really important to really understand that. And, you know, I shared a message this morning about bad attitudes, how they're contagious, but good attitudes are contagious as well, right? And we really got to take inventory of our life sometimes and say, okay, is the person who's trying to hold me accountable, is the person who's making my life a little uncomfortable, they won't accept me not doing my homework, they won't accept me acting a certain way or not fulfilling my responsibilities, are they mean or do they love me? Do they care about me, or are they trying to make my life hell? Because sometimes we can get stuck in the, oh man, this person's mean, or, you know, this boss is, you know, unruly, or you know, that's not cool that they're asking so much of me. But how do you know? And again, this comes from communication, because sometimes we don't communicate this. How do you know that they don't believe in you? How do you know that they don't see something special in you? How do you know that the reason why they're not holding you accountable is, you know, because are there parents out there living vicariously through their kids? Of course there are. All right. So there's parents that want their kids to be perfect, so everyone can say, hey, you're such a great parent. right? But there's also parents, coaches, mentors, teachers, counselors who really see something beautiful and amazing inside of you. And they're like, no, I'm not going, I will personally not settle for lower standards for you. And you might not like me because of it, but man, we've got to start going down these roads that are a little bit challenging, because if you do, it's the best thing for you.
Yeah. And just like you said, like, you want to see that view. You don't want to, there's no point in seeing something everybody else is seeing. You want to see that new view, and that's just doing the right thing. And
that's it, man. And listen, man, if you're a little bit younger listening to this, you know, like I said before, everyone kind of wants to find out for themselves, right? So you understand the messaging and all of that. I'll tell you something that I've been telling a lot of, you know, younger kids that I try to mentor and coach lately. You know, how I got into this talking about life and sharing as much about my successes and failures as possible and what I've learned along the way is, you know, when I was 30, you know, between 20 and 30, you really collect a huge amount of knowledge.
yeah.
Right. You learn who you are by figuring out who you're not. You learn what inspires you. You learn like what you're capable of. And you say to yourself at 30 years old, like, man, I could go back to being 20 with this knowledge. I'd be a beast, man. I'd be like, my life would be so much different. Right. But the same thing happens when you're 40. Same thing happens when you're 50. Like, you're like, man, if I would have known this sooner, if I would have known this when I was 30, if I would have known this when I was 40. And so one day, I'd say about 15 years ago, at 35 years old, I'm like, okay, someone says this, because all my friends say this. Everyone I run into says this. I hear people speak about this. But so how come none of the 30-year-olds are going to the 20-year-olds and saying, hey, guys, let me share with you something that I learned in my 20s, that if I would have known this, like when I was 20 instead of when I was 30, my life would have been so much better.
Yeah. Because there's little things that you can pick up on. Even like, I mean, I'm getting to that point. I'll be 30 next year. And you start to, I really reflect on a lot of things, especially going through different situations. Now being a homeowner, a soon to be father, like you see things in a lot differently. And you're like, if I would have been doing this, I could have been in a different financial spot, or you'd be in a different mental space if you chose a different decision, something, or just I've learned how to work with people a lot better. If I put myself in the situation when I was 20, what I'm doing now of going on stage and talking in front of people, I don't think I could do it. I couldn't even do it in front of my college classes.
But you see, but that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Like sometimes the easy path avoids the thorns, like it's written here, but it also misses the view, right? Yeah. Like what you discovered about yourself is you're capable of something that 10 years ago you would have never imagined in a million years. Mm-hmm. It's because you took the challenging path. It's because someone might have pushed you into the challenging path. I'm not even saying you raise your hand and say, hey, I'm all in, man. Yeah. Like, okay, cool. Let's go jump out the plane with the parachute. Sometimes someone pushes you to do that and you discover some things about yourself, right? And so what I know is that we all have the ability to do great things that we don't even imagine are possible. We don't imagine the skill set, the gifts that we have. We think that we're average. We are not average. Every single one of us is excellent. We just got to find it and develop it.
Yeah.
And the only way to find it and develop it is to start doing some new things, start doing some challenging things, and don't always look for that smooth, newly paved road with no bumps, and the lines are all perfectly painted straight on, so everything's going to be easy. Your little cruise control, self-driving button's going to know exactly what's going on. It's not going to tell you that you have to put your hands on the steering wheel because, you know, we're not sure. No, everything's very certain, right? So that road right there is just not the road you want to be on.
Yeah.
By the way, everybody's on that road. Everybody's looking for easy, right? And so the road less traveled is a lot less crowded. Think about that one.
More rewarding at the end. There's just a lot of benefits to blazing your own trail.
If you want to have what few people have, you have to do what few people do, right? And that's the thing. Whatever everybody else is doing, do not be disappointed or even upset when you get what everybody else is getting, right? And I think that's the biggest message as we leave here, because we're kind of went in three different directions here. Like, do you want what everybody has? Then do what everybody does, or don't do what everybody doesn't do, right? But if you want what few people have, right? If you want to be in the 10%, you got to do what the 10%ers do. If you want to be in the 5%, the 3%, the 1%, you've got to do what those percentile people do. You can't just, because a lot of people will do what everybody else does, but they want the results of the 10%ers, right?
Yeah.
And there's like, and then they're frustrated and they're mad and they're like, you know, oh, life got me or whatever. It's the weather or it's the government. No, man. Like what do you want and what are you willing to do for it?
Yeah.
That is it. And when you get stuck in any other mindset, like you can kind of just throw your hands up and give up and say, oh, I have bad luck or it's not for me or, you know, things never go my way or it's never going to happen. It's like, no, you want what less amount of people have, you have to do what less amount of people do. That's it. Done.
Yep. It's all about the most rewarding thing for me always comes back to things that struggled for or you worked really hard for.
Yeah.
Those are the most rewarding.
And those are the ones that really you're most proud of, right? Yeah. Like, and I think people misunderstand that. Like, hey, we all love getting recognized, but man, when you got recognized for busting your butt for years, decades, or whatever, man, there's such a feeling there.
Yeah.
Right. Like that is unexplainable. Getting recognized, and deep down inside, you kind of know you didn't work hard for it, or it wasn't that hard, or it wasn't challenging. You didn't have to stay up late. You didn't have to sacrifice a bunch of stuff, man. Like, it's just not as rewarding. So anyway, hopefully we've inspired you guys here to take the bumpy road, not the smooth road, not the easy road. Get a little uncomfortable, meet some new people, do some things that you never imagined you would do just to go do it, figure out who you are. And I think you're going to find along the way that, you know, taking this bumpy road instead of this smooth road is going to lead to some discoveries about yourself and about what you're capable of that will bless you for the rest of your life.